What is going on, guys? Victor here with a brand new audio clip, and in this audio clip I really want to focus on the UFC Fight Island Part 3 main event, Benavidez versus Figueiredo Part 2. The main reason why we have a Part 2 is because the last time they fought for the vacant Flyweight Championship of the world, Figueiredo missed weight, which basically meant if he would have won the fight, the UFC Flyweight Championship would have still been vacant. He wouldn't have been able to win it. If Benavidez won, he would have been the new Flyweight Champion. But Figueiredo ended up knocking him out in the second round, which is why we have this second fight. But this time, on the other side of the world, across the pond, in Abu Dhabi, in Fight Island, Yas Island. Now, this is definitely going to be an interesting fight, just because the last time they fight, I really believe that Joseph Benavidez was winning the fight. He won the first round, even though he got himself in some very dangerous positions. He almost got submitted with an armbar, but he was able to reverse the position multiple times, rolling on the ground with Deiveson Figueiredo. He was also trying to get a couple of takedowns as well, because as we all know, Benavidez is a wrestler. That is his bread and butter. That's what he learned first before going into the sport of mixed martial arts, unlike Figueiredo, who has a whole arsenal of weapons that he can use at his disposal, such as his boxing, his Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, also his kickboxing, his Muay Thai, etc. Both these guys are complete mixed martial artists, but Deiveson Figueiredo definitely has more of the edge, if you were to ask me. But the fight definitely was going in favor of Joseph Benavidez. I believe he won the first round. He was definitely winning the second round as well, but the main problem that I had with him before the whole headbutt incident, and he ended up getting knocked out as a result of that by Figueiredo with a nasty right hook, it's because he kept on leaping in, and he kept on leading with his right hand. So if he saw an opening, he'd keep charging in, leaping in with a right hand, and that basically made him more susceptible to the headbutt, because we all know some fighters like to charge in, and most fighters like to collide, especially when they're throwing combinations or they're throwing basically haymakers and whatever at each other. And sometimes they're all susceptible to clashing heads, which will result in basically a hairline fracture or something like that. Any type of fracture, or just busting open of the face, busting open of the forehead, etc. That's just the name of the game. It happens in boxing, it happens in MMA, it happens in kickboxing, it happens in all different types of combat sports, and that's just the name of the game at the end of the day. But that's the main mistake that Benavidez had, and he was also going for a firefight also in the second round. Both these fighters were definitely throwing down with some heavy shots. Figueiredo definitely has more of the power than Benavidez does, but Benavidez really has some really crisp boxing. He was working some really nice combinations in the second round. He also hit Figueiredo with a nice head kick in the second round as well. So Benavidez definitely had his way in both of those rounds until the headbutt and the knockout. But if he fixes his mistakes that he did have in the first fight, then he'll be absolutely fine. For me, Figueiredo was never really in that much trouble. I think he has a really good chin, and another time where he was really kind of getting smashed a little bit was against Tim Elliott, but he's able to ride that storm and end up coming out with a submission win victory with guillotine choke against Tim Elliott, who really likes to make it awkward. And to be honest, Figueiredo is another awkward guy at the same time. He kind of reminds me of kind of like of a chimpanzee, how they're really acrobatic. Monkeys in general, how they're really acrobatic. They like to swing, they like to move, and all different types of weird motions. And the same thing kind of goes to Deiveson Figueiredo at the same time, which is why he's had so much success in the UFC. The last time that he fought and he lost, I believe it was against an opponent that Joseph Benavidez had beaten not once but twice. And I'm trying to figure out what his name is. But I'll definitely come back to that when I do remember what it is. But he has fun similar proponents to Joseph Benavidez, and to be honest, he has lost, but I'm pretty sure he's only lost once in the UFC. He's been in the UFC for a little bit of a while now, but not as much as David Benavidez, because David Benavidez has been in the UFC for about more than 10 years now, believe it or not. He used to train with Team Alpha Male. He used to be part of a couple of elite gyms as well, so David Benavidez is the real deal, and this is going to be his fourth title shot. His last fight with Deiveson was his third, was just pretty absurd, but he has fought for the title before, the flyweight title, and he used to be a bantamweight as well before they introduced the flyweight division to the UFC. So it's definitely going to be really interesting to see how these fighters are really changed from the last fight. Um, what kind of mistakes are they going to fix coming into this one? And this fight's obviously going to be a whole lot more different as well, just because of the time difference. Being able to adapt to the time at Abu Dhabi, they are 8 hours ahead of the U.S. time, and they're most likely ahead by a lot in the Brazilian time as well. But most fighters are going to Abu Dhabi, landing in Yas Island, and most fighters are just getting acclimated to the own time that they're used to back at home. So they're not really paying attention to the Abu Dhabi time. They're just paying attention and fighting and training, eating and sleeping on their own time, as if they were in their own country, which is extremely smart. I know that the featherweight champion Alexander Volkanovski did that, and I believe that was absolutely beautiful. And I know a lot of other people did that as well, but Alexander Volkanovski was the one that's standing out the most, because he kind of basically put out a whole blueprint for these other fighters to do that. So if Deiveson, Figueiredo, and Benavidez did that, then they should be ready to go. They should be amped up. They should have plenty of energy to throw down on a very early morning in Abu Dhabi. So I just looked at it right now, and Josier Formiga is the only man to beat Deiveson Figueiredo in his whole entire career. His current record is 18-1. He only has that one blemish on his record. It might be two after Saturday, but we shall see what happens. Joseph Benavidez versus Deiveson Figueiredo for the vacant flyweight championship of the world. It's going to be interesting. Are we going to see Joseph wrestle a lot more? Are we going to see Figueiredo try to go for his own takedowns, grapple a little bit, get in the clinch, work some knees in there? We'll see. It's going to go down in the next 24 hours, probably 24 to 30 hours or around there. And these Fight Island fights are really interesting. They're really intriguing. And there are more fights on this card as well. And I'll just tell you guys some of them right here, because there's a lot of international talent that is on this card as well. You've got Kelvin Gastelum versus Jack Hermanson, who's fighting out of Norway. You got Marta Casey, the Englishman, fighting Rafael Fiziev. You've got the Spaniard, Joel Alvarez, which I'm really looking forward to. There's only, I believe, two Spaniards on the whole entire UFC roster. He's one of them, but he's definitely one of the up-and-coming fighters in the country of Spain that I'm really looking forward to see fight. He's fighting the Irishman, Joe Duffy, and you've got a whole lot of other fighters on that card as well. So there's definitely a huge international fare with this whole entire fight card, and I'm absolutely loving it. And hopefully the same will happen this coming Saturday with UFC Fight Island Part 4, Whitaker versus Till, which is another fight I'm really looking forward to. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section of who's going to win, and how do you guys think each fighter is going to kind of play their card during this fight tomorrow. So I'm looking forward to the fight. I hope you guys are too, and I'm hopefully you guys are going to enjoy the fights as much as I am, and hopefully it's going to be a banger of a time. And just before I go, there's also Alexandre Pantoja versus Askar Askarov, which is another fight that I'm really looking forward to, and I think it's going to be an absolute banger. Two contenders in the UFC flyweight division who could be able to face the winner of the main event this Saturday. So I appreciate you guys for hearing me out on this audio clip. You guys enjoy the rest of your day. Stay blessed. Take care. And definitely be careful out there. Later.